When it comes to video creation, every detail matters.
Oh, Mike's out of frame. Yeah. Scoot in a little bit, Mike.
I scooted and I gotta readjust my mic and then I hit the table.
Yeah, that happens. Hi, friends. All right. There you go.
There you go.
Perfect. Good afternoon. Good whatever time it is there. Mikey.
I'm Beef.
I'm Mike.
And this is our first, live podcast. Eddie was supposed to be here. Something came up last minute. It's okay, it happens. Maybe he'll be next time. But for now, we're going to be doing this. So, hey, what's up? How you guys doing today? How you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm between two mics.
How you doing today?
I'm phenomenal. I had breakfast. I'm like ready to go.
Yeah, actually I had breakfast too earlier. Was up quite a bit, so I'm ready for this to start. I'm pretty excited for this. Going to be probably like an hour of this and then we'll be done. You're going to learn a little bit more about us to start. And then you have some questions that were asked. You can ask some questions in the chat. Otherwise, hey, how you doing? And we get started. So first coming up, some things that are coming. This wall behind us obviously is going to be changing soon. Eddie is in charge of that. So as soon as Eddie decides what he wants to do to make it more artsy or better appealing, it's going to change.
It's going to be the most monocolored, gray accented wall
No,
I've ever seen.
You did the draft. You did the draft.
You saw the draft?
Giraffe.
Oh.
A giraffe?
The giraffe upstairs, the pattern.
Oh,
I think he did that, so it's not going to be on its own.
Yeah, he's pretty good at doing that stuff.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So
I'll be judgmental as always.
yeah, and then also we have some more Patreon stuff coming out soon too, which will be like week early access, shout out stuff like that, just to help fund other things as well as support us a little bit. Besides that, though, pretty excited to be moving into potentially an anime soon. We've been talking about that. Mike has his idea what he wants to watch, and we will absolutely watch it. If you want to give a little shout out to what that show is eventually going to be.
Nah, dude, because you're gonna fight me on it. It's gonna come out in a year. We'll let it be a surprise.
That happens sometimes. Besides that, pretty excited also for just some new seasons of shows coming out.
Yeah.
We're getting close to finishing Westworld, honestly, and when that ends, I'm excited to put a poll up for that.
When that ends, I'm excited.
It's been definitely a big
What do you mean,
change.
dude? That we watched like the best episode.
You got to watch that to find out. I'm just
A little hope here, Stubbs.
so it turns out when that actually happened, he was actually injured. Oh, there's a big slant on that camera. Yeah. Basically, Stubbs was injured. Apparently, the actor was injured during that, so that's
That
why
makes sense.
So they had to do what they did. Besides that, give a little background to start. You guys could talk about how you guys met, and we could talk about how we met as a channel. So I'm just gonna fix this really quick so you guys are up on that. Just like
Yeah, you do your IT.
How do you guys meet?
We met. We were both ended up working at Applebee's, and we were stuck there for quite a while.
Yeah.
With ups and downs. If anyone's worked in the restaurant industry, you're aware that you hate your job, but you also love your job, and a lot of that matters. A lot of what matters is who you're working with and how management is.
Yeah, I hated working with it. No, I don't remember. I don't remember the first time we met, but I know we did meet through Applebee's. But I think that I met you.
I was a terrible employee, but great at parties.
I will admit I never worked. I'm gonna admit I never worked at Applebee's or anything. I'm just friends with
Yeah.
Eddie and Beefs Brandon, so that's how I
Yeah.
met Mike and as well as Joe.
I thought there was going to be a big dramatic reveal for my name.
Oh,
You just said, no, I'm just kidding. Yes,
Name?
my real name is Brandon.
Yeah, no. So we met there. Eddie obviously was working with us, and Joe, and Mikey would just always be around because, most of his friend group was at the same parties.
Yeah.
So it all blended together pretty nicely. We realized that we wanted to keep hanging out after we stopped working together, and Mikey wanted to start a channel, and me and Joe agreed, and everybody else followed.
yeah, it was really my brain idea because as a reactor, just like you guys, I watched a lot. Somebody who watched all the reaction channels, like some of the big name ones, I was like, this seems pretty cool. Some stuff I was like, seemed like I could do that with my friends and get them into that, see what it'd be like to watch shows for the first time.
Yeah.
I had no skills at all before this. Like,
Oh, yeah, no, nothing.
most I'd have just, above average computer skills in the sense of like Googling and whatnot. So like through that and YouTube, I learned how to do a lot of video stuff. Like I will say like all the video is editing and sound is a lot me. And it's just been me watching YouTube tutorials for hours on end and just being like little tweaks here and there.
I remember I actually a couple weeks ago I went back and looked at like the first Andor that we posted,
It's probably so different.
and then like looked at something recent, and I was like, Mikey really did improve.
It's crazy.
I was like, I don't know why anyone watched this during Andor.
I mean, people I appreciate people who are like big into like
A lot
new
of people
reactors.
were supportive, yeah.
Because new reactors, being a new reactor is really hard. Like you and Eddie and like Chris and Taylor and everyone joined later on. But when we first started, it was really just like bare bones.
We were excited to get 100 views.
Yeah, 100 views is like Now I'm excited when my personal. Oh, I'm going the wrong way again. My personal stuff gets 100 views. I'm very excited for that. We're really on an angle over here. I don't know what I did.
He just like wanted to mess around with it, and now I'm like.
This is giving me big vibes. So like the first stream me and Mikey ever did was technically we were playing New World a long time ago, and we were running a housing furniture competition on there, and I was at the controls for Twitch, and I was like, I don't know how to use this, guys. This is gonna be rough, and it seems like we've not improved one bit, Mikey.
The camera's like, I don't know if it's the floor or the camera itself, but like it's always been like a little slant that I kind of fixed in post production. And that's the one thing during my testing today that I've never did think about. And I'm just like, I'm trying to remember how I did it in the middle of this, which I'm sorry, that's what I'm doing right now.
I think people enjoy the slant that we get.
It's more realistic. It's more actually who we are, to be honest, too. It's just because some stuff is just like, coordinated chaos that succeeds.
There's been very little.
And I think I actually just fixed it too. Look, let's go.
So we did meet through Applebee's, and then Mikey and I have known each other since
younger,
like way younger. We were aware of each other's existence.
And
we were like friends. Yeah.
So we were friends. We had like a friend group that includes the person who actually made the intro music, who's Brad, who will be in like some like video game streams. And we would meet at Brad's house, and Eddie would be there, and Beef would be there. We'd play video games and hang out and go get like food late at night, like degenerate like teenagers would, and just have a great time. And we honestly, it was a lot of League of Legends playing for the most part, and that's how we became friends. Eddie was a part of this group. We played a lot of League of Legends. We were like 15, 16. He joined when we were like 18, I think.
Several times.
League of Legends
community.
But you guys were also mall rats, right?
We were mall rats, but
So,
I didn't meet.
I'm pretty sure like we were running in similar circles, like next to each
we
other.
never met, yeah.
We probably have like seen each other prior to like meeting.
We're all in the same high school district, but we didn't go to the same schools,
Yeah.
so that's the big difference. Eddie and I went to the same school. I met his sister when I was 15. She was 14. She's Taylor, who's been on the channel a year younger than me. And I remember specifically, I tell the story. The day I met Eddie, we were like hanging out like delinquents, like smoking cigarettes. I was 15. Taylor was 14. Eddie was probably 13. Still in middle school, 8th grade in America. And he asked me for a cigarette, and I was like, I don't know who this kid is. I just know his sister, like a little bit. I was hanging with my other friends, so I was like, Taylor, can he have a cigarette? And she goes, I'm not his mom. And Eddie just repeats like, yeah, she's not my mom. And so I gave like a 13-year-old a cigarette. I was 15. It's a bad thing to say. But that's how we became friends from there on. And it's weird to think of like that interaction is like how Eddie and I became friends. And I always say Taylor I've known the longest, and it's because she's older. I hope
Eddie's mom is watching this.
Oh, she knew probably. I think she knew.
I'm gonna tell you something.
We're
Parents
bad kids.
know a lot more.
I know.
Yeah, they did.
Then they think. Then you think you're getting away with something, and they're like, "I'm letting you have this one."
I don't feel like this is not the battle.
It is not. So, I mean, the big thing is that was like a lot of our friend group meeting was through chance. Like, for example, me and Joe met when we were younger. When he first moved to like this area as a kid, like I met him in school. And I specifically remember, I don't know what year it was, but a fan could always, know because it was the year Kingdom Hearts came out. And I remember I was obsessed because I kept bringing the guidebook to school, and Joe like commented on it but it was like the cool thing to do back then. Like
that makes so much.
Like
sense.
even kids
that
in, like
makes so much.
Even
sense.
kids at my school who play like sports, like in that age group that were considered like not the nerdy kids, were into Kingdom Hearts. So it was like everybody would be like reading the book with me when we were younger because it was cool to be like, wait, I don't know who these characters are, but that's Disney. So it was cool. And that's how I met Joe, and then we, stopped being, in contact through the years as you do with people that you meet. And then he randomly showed up at my house one night for a poker night with his then girlfriend, Dias.
Oh.
And that's when our friend group started to hang out. And it was because Joe was friends with Eddie's brother-in-law, Chris,
Yeah,
who's been on this channel actually with Taylor.
It's a log extended friend
So
group
it's
that
a log-
just
yeah.
blended together.
Yeah, it's a log extended friend group, and they all like. And every time we do a video or we do a video, sometimes they'd be like sad because they'd be like, well, we want to hang out, but we also want to kind of do a video once or twice. So that's how Taylor and Chris came to be on the channel too. And Eddie to an extent because he lived with me. He was actually the first person I asked, and he was like no. But then like once stuff started going wrong, and he saw like it wasn't just like I guess like bulk, like kind of like the beginner stuff. He's like, okay, sure, which is fair. It is hard to do to start this stuff. But yeah, that's how we all met as friends and became friends. It was because they worked at Applebee's and because I went to school with Eddie, and everything kind of came together through that. And we met
An
up.
organic group, really.
Yeah, we met up for poker. Poker turned to board games, which turned to Magic the Gathering. The friend group almost split apart several times because of Magic the Gathering. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
We've always wanted to play that on the channel, but that's also one of those logistical things because it's hard to think about how to do it. But also, it's hard to.
You don't want to see it.
It's also.
I don't think anybody wants to see me.
You don't wanna
I don't think
see
anybody wants to
Even
see
if
me
we could do it like
I don't have
production-
my makeup on.
Even if we do like production level value, it's gonna be toxicity in the friend group. You guys are like, how are you guys friends? It's like, don't worry, we always forget when we leave.
Yeah. It's
I
like
don't
how
know.
they say that you forget the pain of childbirth so that you can have another child.
No
What are
way.
you talking
What are you talking?
about?
I heard that the memory of it goes away over time.
That's an interesting one. I never heard that, but I will say.
I heard a health video. That's not just something I made up.
I don't know. There's some deep-seated trauma because some people don't want to play Magic ever again.
Yeah, honestly, it's fun because like the friend group, we played that for like a year and a half. If you don't know Magic the Gathering, it's a card game, a lot of fun. Also, a lot of headaches and fights and arguments because you could be very toxic to somebody, and it's not like you're, like I hate you toxic, but you're trying to win the game. But by trying to win the game, you're also making
They
somebody
made
else
the game
lose.
toxic. Okay?
Yeah,
They made the game.
And there's also
It's
the
bad.
fact that like we're all at a point in our lives where we do have disposable income,
And
and
even
like
like for
we
you.
hyper focus on our hobbies a little bit. So
Yeah.
there really wasn't like budgetary constraints on this. So everyone was playing very powerful, expensive cards.
It was an arms race.
which it turned into an arms race immediately.
It was just fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jack-
I think
yeah.
Mikey's the only one who doesn't have a deck worth over $1,000.
I think honestly what I did was I just kind of kept what I was doing, and I mean you win you lose, but I also just I saw the way it was
You
going.
still got a good win rate though.
And I was like,
Yeah.
Money
you have
doesn't
fun.
mean you win.
Yeah, but that's how the friend group really came together was through things that really don't make friends groups function. Board games and Magic the Gathering usually splits friend groups up because of the arguments, but we kept together. Also, a good healthy amount of K-pot helps
That's
Yeah.
true.
because
Sometimes you have to stress relief.
sometimes you have to bring the salt up to like the salt.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like sometimes you
Yeah.
need to take a break from the salt with some salted meats.
Absolutely, yeah. Now
From the meaty salt.
I will say, we do have some questions from the fans, so we're going to jump into a few of those. These were on our Discord. If anybody else has any questions they'd like to ask too, feel free to, post them on just, the chat itself, and then we'll get to them.
Love questions.
We love questions, but the first one is, do you guys have any secret talents or secret, basically weird skills or talents that nobody knows about, that the fans don't know about? Like for me, it's probably my snake stuff. Like I go hiking and find snakes and like photograph them a bunch, and reptiles. So that's why whenever I see them on like a video or like in something, I
You're a
always
herper.
react. Yeah, basically. And as a result, Eddie can vouch. Even on vacation, I'll be like, I'm gonna go look under this real quick, and everybody's like, stop, no. And I'm just like, yeah, that's me. What about you?
I don't know if I have any talent. I'm really good at card games. Like I play other card games besides Magic. In Hearthstone, I've been like legend for like 6 months in a row now, so that's pretty fun. I play a lot of D&D too, like a lot of D&D, and I play on very organized servers, so I help keep organization up. So I'm probably a little more organized than I am in my job.
Sorry, keep it.
So there's that. I don't think I have too many secret talents though.
Yeah.
I think all of my talents are rather open about.
Yeah, you kind of went into the deep end of D&D like heavier than everyone, because I remember like I knew about it back in like 3rd edition and stuff, and then when we all got bored we wanted to start playing, but we needed a DM, and I was like not into it at that point, and you're like, I'll be right back, and then like a year later you came back and you're like, I'm DMing, and we did our first campaign and it was really
We did. That was during COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was during COVID.
So that's actually when the friend group got like cemented more. Is during COVID we were doing, we started with online sessions, right?
No, we started in person,
and then
we did,
COVID
like,
happened.
Yeah.
COVID happened. We did like 3 online sessions, and
Then we did my
one of-
backyard.
One of them was great, and it was fantastic. And this guy got a magic item that I really liked giving out. The Minotaur helm.
Oh hell
right,
yeah!
yeah.
That was one that he loved because I was like, you're stupider, but you are stronger.
I was playing Barbarian, so it was the perfect item to get.
Yeah.
And then honestly, COVID hit, it kind of stopped things for a little bit. And then when things got a little bit more relaxed, we started doing it in my backyard because when they were like, you can hang out outside, we were like, sure. And that only can last so long in June because it was very it's very moist outside in my backyard. I remember on the table. So like, remember the papers used to get wet when we play?
Yeah.
I remember that. Now, just looking at things real quick right here. I'm going to look at the comments. Going to say, yes, Kevin, that is a reference to Between Two Ferns. This is actually Joe's original name, Between Two Mics, that he wanted the channel to be. But I always was like, what if there's not two mics?
Yeah, then it's gonna be a harder name.
It was a good idea. So the podcast is a great name. It's a fun one to use, but the channel itself, yeah. Also, he does look a little bit Zach Galifianakis, so yeah.
Is that me?
Yeah. Hi everyone, nice to meet you.
I've grown out this beard for a long time. I've been like, I should trim it or I should go to the barber. I usually like to trim it after a while, but I just haven't.
And for the person asking about Discords, what's the benefit of a Discord? Discord is kind of like the, as the person says, more like chat rooms and AIM combined. It's like the original message boards.
I miss
original,
this. No, it's like the Succeeder type message board.
Yeah. Facebook. It's not Facebook because you can have your anonymity, but it also allows you to find groups that maintain your interest.
Yep.
And they're all live chats that can be either like live posts or limited posts.
I guess it's a good way to put it. It's like social media if you're like for the internet.
And
like your internet persona.
And for also like a very specific subsect of what you want to see. Like if you're like, I really like Naruto, you can go and find like Naruto.
There's like woodworking discords. There's like all sorts of cool
music,
stuff.
cars. But if you're also someone who's like, I need tech support, a lot of days you'll probably find better tech support through a Discord than a chat because sometimes you have to respond and wait for AI, whereas on a Discord somebody live might be helping you.
And there's someone very angry about that particular issue who will happily walk you through it.
Yeah, that's the benefit of it. I like it. It's basically modern IRC. It's a good idea, basically, to describe it. I like the idea of also the fact that you can have,
I haven't heard that in a long time.
you can have chats. You can have like, you can post videos and links. You can get in voice chats together. So that's also benefit of it. It's been pretty much, one of the best things for gaming.
I'm so happy they brought up IRC because no one knows what bash.org is, and like it's all the OG IRC funnies.
I remember that stuff kind of. I remember, it's fun to think that Skype existed before Discord, but Discord is just a better Skype for gaming.
I mean, yeah, because they didn't have like, I'm pretty sure you didn't have servers really with Skype.
No, you just had calls and you could join them or add people and stuff like that.
I made a lot of my friends through Discord. I've met people in real life through Discord friends and playing D&D and stuff. It's very interesting.
It's weird to think that we used to use Skype because I can hear the call noise that do.
Yeah,
but
I can identify as Skype.
But like at the same time, I haven't used it in so long I forgot. Discord's been like 10 years of my life at this point. And even consoles are adapting it. So that's a pretty cool thing. And on Discord, we sometimes may play games with fans, but it's more often just a easier way to have like a conversation with fans, more personal. Like you may find people like John on there that we talk with, and Dimitri and other fans on there who have a little bit more conversations. And then fans will talk with each other and spoiler tag stuff.
I'm very upset right now because there's an entire spoiler tagged chat in our Buffy channel today, and I just can't read it.
Yeah, it's like a whole block of black text.
It's literally like if you haven't finished season 5, don't read it. And I'm like, I'm gonna beat someone.
It's true. Now, conspiracy. Next question we had from a fan on
I don't get to
Discord
answer the
itself.
question. It's fine.
What's your thing? I thought you did.
No, we were talking. You said herbs, and then he was
what's
talking
your weird
about.
What's your weird thing?
Oh God. I mean, listen. At the end of the day, we all have some weird stuff going on.
Oh God, am I gonna learn something?
No. I will say I probably, to actually answer the question and not be silly,
Warhammer.
I think probably it just comes down to like applied psychology. Like I don't have a degree in it at all, but the amount of people that I've like spoken with to try and like walk them through some issues that they don't feel comfortable like going to therapy or they can't afford it or whatever. I'm not gonna say that I'm professional at it at all, but I've worked with enough people who have gotten their degrees and like had learned from them and helped write some of their papers, that I really do enjoy having what I call just like coffee chats, just walking people through it and trying to help them as much as I can.
This tracks totally, because like every single time you watch a TV show, you're like, that person needs a therapist. So you're distracts. This makes a lot more sense now.
I mean,
for me.
I used to do it like fresh out of high school, and I've gotten better over the years, and I still have people messaging me on Discord even to be like, hey, like I'm not feeling so great, and I like walk them through it. I'm like, well, what's going on? and I know you do that to a lesser degree, but that's something that I've done a lot of. So I'd probably say it's one of my skills, even though I can't professionally do it.
It's a good skill.
I mean, there was one summer I spent $4,000 on coffee just going out with people to talk to them, just because people needed it.
That's actually one of the questions on here too. So where is it?
How much have you spent on coffee in your life?
No, what's the most ridiculous thing you ever? No,
I don't think
this is
you
a
have
question
an
that you're going to
answer
answer.
for
I
that.
put on one of the fans asked, "What's the most ridiculous thing you ever bought online?" We're going to get to that because you definitely have an answer. But the next thing, are you done with what you were discussing?
Yeah, no, I'm done. I
Okay,
think
so
that's
we're going
it.
to start with you this time because you like this one. What's a conspiracy theory that you don't believe but you find entertaining? Because you are deep down with
Okay,
that.
so listen, this has to be my favorite question that we're gonna get today.
Yeah, what is it?
Because I love conspiracy theories across the board.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're fun, and I'm actually kind of mad about the past couple of years. The conspiracy theory network kind of got taken over with like political shit, and I'm not a fan of that because it's like a little too close to home. But I loved like ancient aliens and all that stuff. So to go with my conspiracy theory about that I don't believe but find really entertaining, all of the ones about Antarctica. All of like the hollow earth theory, the hidden military bases, the super big ice spiders. Dude, anything Antarctica is like top of my list. Like right now there's a big one going on that's about Tartaria, which is like where basically Siberia and Mongolia are, that it's supposed to be like essentially Atlantis, but like 200 years ago or whatever. And like I'm like, this is silly. But that's because like I kind of understand like the source material that they're drawing it from, whereas like Antarctica and Atlantis are just like ancient and wild. So that's gonna be Antarctica.
Okay, that's the one about you, Brandon.
I don't know if I have a conspiracy theory that I find really entertaining. That's like, I'm not sure. This is a hard
Do
question.
you draw anything for like your lore and your homebrew worlds off of like this wild stuff?
But there's no like, it's not like, oh, this is like funny. Like I can't think of one that I am like, wow, this is hilarious. This is such a great conspiracy theory, or that I find entertaining. I'd have to think about that. Can I pass to you?
You can pass to me. I actually have one for this one. The one I find entertaining but don't believe, obviously, it's flat Earth. I just find it so interesting that people still believe in flat Earth. And I see Mike's leg jumping because he wants to talk about this. So I played New World. Mike wasn't in this one, but I played a game called New World, which is an MMO that came out a few years ago. And Discord coming back up. I was in my
different time
guild / communities Discord, and so there was a guy in there who unironically believed in flat Earth, and so like every day in Discord people would try to like pick fights with him, like not believing in flat Earth, because all you have to do is just like post a meme about like the Earth not being flat, and he would comment. He'd come out of like left field and be like, it's like he had a notification turned on, and at first you thought he was like trolling and it was funny, like you thought he was like joking about it and making like making funny about it, but the more you talk with this guy, the more you realize that he truly believed this theory, and he would post the same like paragraph of like links to videos on alternate YouTubes, not like YouTube, but alternate YouTube. And it'd be like, this proves it. And I'd like Google it, and it'd be like, it was debunked by like this other video. And he would be like, no, that's the government.
Yeah.
And then, so like, I went as far as like, do you believe in the International Space Station? And he's like, no, it's actually just in Las Vegas underground. There's a water chamber, and they use that to simulate zero G and the ISS. And I was like, what the hell? So this guy literally, for the longest time, would just bring it up, and I always thought it was people did it, I understood it, but I didn't think it was like a younger person would do it. And then the weird thing was he would just nonstop, just if you talked about Earth, even if you weren't bringing it up in the flat Earth conversation, he'd just have to start talking about flat Earth. He's like, and then he would link like all his like religious paperwork too about it, like all this like God says flat Earth is flat and stuff like that. And it's one of those things that like there's a lot of irrefutable proof out there that something happens that's true, but people can't believe it.
Yes.
So it's like,
so
that's mine.
The thing with the flat Earth, and I if you figured out what you're talking about, I'll be quick. The flat Earth, the whole thing with the flat Earth conspiracy was that originally the Flat Earth Society, it's a debate club idea. Because the idea is that if you can debate that the Earth is flat, then you're able to become a better debater. And then it got morphed, and now it's evolved into the ice wall and the dome, and there's a whole bunch to add on to that. But what bothers me about the flat Earth conspiracy theory is that people are like taking it seriously when it was formed as like a debate method, because you can argue it. It's hard to like in a debate setting like say 100% that there's no doubt. Obviously, when you start bringing source material into it in scientific like method, it falls apart. But the idea is that you should be able to present your case that it's a flat Earth and be able to defend it, and that's how you become better at debating.
Some of them are like the things.
There's some wild stuff, and trust me, I followed all of it because I love these things. But like the true believers, I'm sorry.
It's like
I can't
one of the
be
arguments
with
the guy would post is like if you could do this at home, like you could cut like a was it like a paper towel holder and like you look through it at a certain angle and it would prove the Earth is flat because there's no curvature looking through a cylindrical item. And I was just like, I'm like, okay, I'm like this. That's when I thought he was like trolling, and then he's like, no. Then he showed me a video of him doing it, and I was like, oh, like, this is real.
I think my favorite has to be.
You got one?
Yeah, I thought of it now. The people who believe that the moon landing is fake is like very funny to me because I think that the idea of Hollywood like being integral to the space race and it being some like Vogue fashion magazine kind of thing I think that's just hilarious. But I also think it's like for all the small percentage of funding that NASA and such programs get to like take that and even though it's a small percentage, it's still like a good amount of money from my understanding, and to take that and just spend it on like flying like taking the camera and being
covering up.
Yeah, I love there was a joke that Neil deGrasse Tyson told on a podcast about people kept saying the moon landing was fake, so he said Hollywood was trying to really get it accurate, but they decided that it was too expensive, so they were going to go shoot it on site.
Yeah. I mean, and that's one of the things too is like when people bring up that argument that it's fake, one of the best counter arguments for something like that is like, do you really think the military wouldn't put a bunch of money into like figuring out how to go into space? Because like space control is really important because it allows you whoever controls space controls like basically the Earth.
Well, I mean, I think the core of the arguments is that like how did we get ahead of Russia on when they had every like goal objective beaten?
Sputnik was first.
Yeah, like and at first people in space, first animals in space, like they were winning the space race, and then all of a sudden we just appeared on the moon. Like obviously now it's like been corroborated by every spacefaring nation that like we were there, we left stuff there.
Yeah.
But like the source of it, like if I was in the '60s and saw it, like I'd be like, yeah, how did we beat them there?
Also, the thought of every single nation on Earth that's ever been to the moon collaborating on a video project to prove that each other one was there is a hilarious idea. Because like China,
we were there
because
too.
Because realistically, if they wanted to, if China wanted to like fake the moon landing and be like all that shit, they'd be like, America wasn't here, they lied. Look, it's just a Chinese flag, and that would cause such controversy. But like in reality, if you look at like all their stuff, like there's like, oh look, there's the footstep over there, and there's that, and so everything proves itself. So like that's the funny thing. There has to be like some sort of in the world where
like a geopolitical sense that would be awful, but like
it's hilarious.
If that happened tomorrow, that would the responses would be hilarious.
This is a great idea for a TV show. Like a great idea for a TV show is that actually happened, but each country has to like collaborate their Hollywood like together to make sure the canon of like moon landing doesn't end. And like one scientist, like Charlie from like It's Always Sunny, like notices like a slight discrepancy, like
just found a nation, make it a green flag only, planted that way. There's just a green screen in the middle of the green screen.
That'd be a great idea.
That would be great if the flag is green. So you go up there, you film, and you put your country's flag over.
We got to send Brazil to the moon to make sure.
That's fair. Now, this one, I'm going to jump just down the questions a little bit. We can go back to some stuff. This one's a little bit more related to TV shows. Since we are a TV and movie reacting channel, do you guys have a go-to, like, this TV show / movie defines your personality? Like, something you watched either when you were younger or more recently that you're like, I'm that character?
I mean, we already talked about my work ethic.
Yeah, your work ethic comes from Office Space. We know that.
I really like Evangelion. It's helped me through plenty of moments in life where I'm like, who am I? And then I remember kind of some of the lessons it teaches. Like that. I like Fooly Cooly.
Fooly Cooly is fun.
Fooly Cooly is really fun.
I would say, I don't know if it's hard to think about something like this that would denominate like my entire, like who I am. This is my personality in a TV show, movie. Because a lot of what I did watch when I was younger was Lord of the Rings and Star Wars and stuff like that. And I wouldn't say that those like,
You're kind of like Samwise.
I guess I could be Samwise. From
Lord like when I'm having my manic episodes, I think it's probably going to be Frank from It's Always Sunny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're the trash man. I'm going to the trash.
Dynasty.
Who's your Charlie? Is it?
Who is your Charlie?
Who is my Charlie? I don't know. I feel like I rotate Charlies.
Okay. So that's your answer is gonna be Frank from It's Always Sunny.
Oh, and I go with during my manic episodes for sure.
In your depressive episodes, you're Charlie from You're also Charlie from Has Been when she's sad about everything going on, crying. Yeah, that's you. I'm asleep in bed. So that was pretty much an easy one for us to answer. Actually, didn't expect that. I think my manic episodes can be described by Charlie from It's Always Sunny sometimes, especially my hair. Like,
You know what? That's pretty apt.
I feel
I would
like
say that.
if
Oh,
we
you know, James. If you even saw like the first 2 episodes of Andor, you'll know James.
Yeah.
James is my Charlie.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Honestly, that's really honestly a good one to be your.
I feel like the button pressing was a very Charlie.
Yeah.
Like why did you guys let me do that?
We're at we started a D&D campaign,
wanted to
and
push a
Mike
button.
wanted to push a button, and everybody stopped him.
Stop!
I don't know. I was like spaced out, and I heard a button. And I was like, I want to push that.
I didn't even say there was a button. He's like, "Is there a button?" You looked for the button.
Yeah, you did.
I did.
Stop him!
Yeah, God. So this is gonna be one that's fun for the fans for future polls. Childhood fears that you haven't grown out of. Do you have one?
I don't know if I've grown out of it because I haven't had the chance to dive into it again, as funny as it sounds. So I used to be a lifeguard, believe it or not. But before that happened, my older sister, when I was like 8 or 7, convinced me that pool filters were like connected to the ocean. And I just never like took the top off of one until I was a lifeguard. But so I believed her. So I was like, what happens if I'm swimming alone in a swimming pool and a shark comes out of the filter and just eats me? Like, if I'm the only one in the pool, then I'm the only person that could be eaten. So I used to have like a really bad fear when I would go into pools by myself, and I couldn't enjoy myself. I would get out if nobody else was in a swimming pool.
That's fair. For me,
It's not fair. It's psychotic.
no. For me, it's not swimming pools, but it was like ocean water. Like I like swimming in the ocean and whatnot, but I don't know, something hit.
God, we're gonna be watching so
And-
many nautical movies.
And like deep dark water, like sharks and stuff like that. I love sharks. Want to swim with them, but they also freak me out, like stuff like that. And a part of it's also how like silent it is underwater. Like that I don't like that.
Bloop, bloop.
But that's a bad one. And dark caves and like cave diving stuff. Like as a kid, like whenever I watched like a movie like that, like they had to go into like a deep dark cave or I played a game like that, I hated it. Those were terrifying. Like I could watch Alien and like movies that were like terrifyingly gory and be fine, but you like put me in like a cave and I freak out. So like that's a good one for the fans for the future for horror. For me is sharks. So obviously sharks probably are good for both of us at this
I
point.
like sharks, but I'm just
Sharks in a swimming pool.
like
Sharks in
my
a swimming
favorite
pool.
animal is a gorilla. I don't want to be mauled by a gorilla. Like
And I'm just gonna add for Eddie and Taylor, it's spiders. So
and Joe.
but Joe is
Joe's gone.
Joe gone. He's in a better place.
the gaps in your fingers are big enough for me to cave dive through, I think.
God no, please no splunking here.
See, like body horror is probably the only like thing that gets like a primal reaction from me.
Yeah.
Fish
it's,
people.
Just
Fish people.
Anyways, but in terms of like actual fears, I don't know. I've been pretty traumatized in my life, so like fears aren't like a thing. I just like
You usually laugh at it.
yeah. It's I think if anything, it'd be like things that go bump in the night because like I grew up in the woods. Like we had like a nice house or whatever, blah blah blah. But like we were in the woods, so like there was no lights, and I'd have to take the trash out at night, which was like 40 feet from the back door, and I sprinted every single time. And also I will sprint out of basements after turning the lights off.
do the same thing. I hit
I think things that go bump in the night has to be on
Primal
there.
fear.
Yeah,
Of,
But like when I see it on TV, it doesn't like get me as much.
It had to be in the
But
dark.
like, man, but that's the other thing. It's like weird because like I was a Boy Scout. I went camping. Like I still like to go camping. I don't mind being in the woods at night, but like being in civilization, but being in the woods near civilization, it's like what's hiding in here that can't come in. I don't know.
you know,
that's a good one.
There's my fear.
That's
I
a
wonder
good
if
one.
the prevalence of light in society actually feeds into the fear of dark
I think it does
now. I've never thought of it.
because you can't. It's harder to be comfortable in it. Unless, but then like I've gone camping in the Rockies and like stared at the night sky and had no worries. And there was a bear that was in our campsite the next morning.
So
like there was something in the woods and I wasn't afraid. I don't know, dude.
that's fair.
Fears are weird.
Fears are weird. Are we all done with that question?
Yeah.
I have a fan question in the comments I want to read actually from, I believe it says Delta. I'm talking my glasses on, sorry. What TV show have you been really looking forward to? It doesn't have to be on the channel or off the channel that actually disappointed you the most.
It's not a TV show, it's the movie. It's The Gorge that came out on Apple TV. I thought it looked the coolest thing ever in the previews. No.
No. What about
No.
you? Anything you watched that disappointed you?
I mean, there's plenty of stuff. Eddie and I watched an anime called Twin Star Exorcist, and we were like, wow, this is pretty good. They have good action. They have like this plot is I haven't seen this plot really like that often before that I'm like, oh, this is this show. And then I remember the last 2 episodes, we really liked it. And the last 2 episodes, I turned to look at him after the second to last one ends, and I'm like, I feel like they're about to horribly ruin the ending of this show. And then they horribly ruined the ending of the show. It was so bad. There was a fight that was awesome in the background that I wanted to watch, but the 2 protagonists were too busy like kissing each other and confessing their feelings. They were. That's the yeah. The story
crazy.
is crazy.
For me, I'm trying to think. So I have 2 actually, and both we watched on the channel. So the first one was The Witcher season 3.
Oh yeah, dude.
Was very excited for that season. Learning that Henry Cavill was like leaving, like kind of ruined it for us. And then it was also one of the first Netflix shows we watched, and I had like the most problems I've had in forever with a TV show. So it was like one of those things where I think I came to you guys and I'm like, we're dropping The Witcher, and you guys were like, okay, fine.
We were on board with
We were
it.
like, yes. At first I was like, we can't drop a show, we can't be known for that. But then like, because we're so new to stuff. But then like I literally was spending like days trying to fix like one episode without being able to post it, and like I was newer to editing, so maybe I could figure out it now, but like it wasn't worth like the amount of stress I was getting. And we weren't enjoying it. And then the show also felt like it had like the soul taken out a bit, and then knowing that Henry Cavill wasn't going to come back also kind of like killed it. So it kind of fell to that bandwagon. The other one, Joe and I think I'll get some flack maybe sometimes for this one, I thought it was the Avatar live action. I didn't super enjoy.
Alright.
There's things I didn't enjoy. I mean, I was very vocal about it. I mean, there's things I really liked, some of the characters I liked, and then other things I did not like. They glossed over a lot of important like things I thought.
Sure.
And I won't get into it because we have the reaction on the channel. You can watch it if you want to watch me. Or, but like it just felt like they cut out the soul of the series and then just rushed to the end. And I would almost say that like I enjoyed it, but like it's hard for me not to enjoy stuff. Like I can enjoy dumb things too.
Yeah, I feel like that's a big thing.
I was disappointed.
Is enjoying a show versus thinking it's good are 2 completely different things.
Yeah. That's fair. Now I'm gonna create a question off that. Everybody answered that one. So, what is a show that you want to watch that you haven't seen? That you're like, I want to watch this. I want to watch this. I want to watch this. Is there anything that you've like seen on like TV or like stuff like that?
People have said that. What's that one show that's like? I can't think of it now, but it's the different universes or something. I can't. Chris
The one that just came out.
Yeah,
it was like an Amazon show, and it did like Warhammer and D&D and all those things.
No, wrong on that.
No, that's what I was asking, because there's one show that came out. And it was like episodes of different like video game and IPs.
I don't think that was it, but I can't think of it. But
different universes
are not different universes. I don't know how to say it. There's like alternate versions of yourself and something. I'm sure somebody knows.
It's that
It starts with an R.
I don't know.
Like it's some. Show.
No, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't think of the name.
I don't know. For me, Severance is up there as one of the shows I want to watch.
Maybe that was it.
Severance looks pretty good, but they also one of the other ones I want to watch, which is I've been asking for, is Jujutsu Kaisen, because I want to get into anime a little bit more again, because I used to be really big into it, and it's one of those popular ones that I wanted to to use to kick off like some anime stuff. But that one is.
I'm a JJK hater.
I mean.
Can't wait to hear all about it.
Yeah, we'll get to that eventually. Besides that, there's so many shows out there I really want to watch, so it's hard to pick. I could be saying things like Lost, because I technically do. Game of Thrones, I've never seen Game of Thrones, like stuff like that.
I would totally rewatch on the channel, fully aware that the last 2 seasons
Game of Thrones
can't do it.
Are what make everyone angry.
Can't do it.
But like the first
the ending of a show. Can make it a 7 out of 10.
I don't see. I hear you on that, but like honestly, if you stopped watching at like the end of season 4, You get enough.
I think if I do that,
I think that my perception of the show is different based on the media that follows it. I can't just ignore a canon event.
Sure.
We're also one of the things that also
House of Dragons ain't good either.
I never would hope it to be. I hope that. I hope the Song of Fire and Ice. But the dragons are coming. They're coming. Don't worry, guys. The dragons, they're going to be here soon.
I know about that.
They're coming.
I think a lot of what would make Game of Thrones hard for me to react to is a lot of my conceptions about it come from.
It's kind of tainted.
Well,
Yeah.
fans have people I worked with would talk about it. So even if I don't remember things exactly happening, as soon as something happens or gets close to happening, I'll be like, "Oh, that character dies." I remember my coworkers talking about it.
Yeah.
Or I'll remember, South Park made fun of this episode and that was too close to accurate. Or you guys complained about this. Or that there's the Starbucks cup that everyone complained about that's in the scene, or there she is, doing that with the knife, or that.
Yeah, no, I think that
I know too much.
I think I watched at the
problem.
perfect time, right before season 8 aired.
missed
So I was able to binge watch the first 7 seasons and like enjoy it and not have like all of like the build up of like waiting every week and waiting till next year. I just got to enjoy it for what it is, and then I got to hate on it with everybody for the last season.
Yeah, I think the problem is also people. It's just like kind of like similar to Westworld, where everyone was kind of like in the comments and we knew already like it's not going to be as good as the first 2 seasons. So going into a TV show, knowing that
It takes away.
because you're hoping, you're not hoping, but you're purposely going and being like, this is going to be less good. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
Also, when you talk to your friends, like, if we're telling our friends that when we're hanging out, oh, hey, we're going to watch, episode 6 of this season. They're like, season 6 really sucks, man. And you're like,
Thanks, dude.
now I think it's going to suck. And that's what kind of, as a reactor, it's hard to get around that sometimes because you could see that on, for example, when we watched The Acolyte, it was all over everything. And it was hard to like not, see like that as a Star Wars thing.
There's another show that I was
terrible.
excited for, and I think I watched 2 episodes on the
I was
channel
so
and said
excited.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Just to address the last thing that was said, because I am a huge Scrubs fan. I for so long ignored the last season, and
I love Scrubs.
I just was like, I have to watch this to know if it's the most horrid, awful, flanderizing thing that I've ever seen. And it's like, I watched 3 episodes and I was like, this is okay. It's not horrid, but it doesn't have the feeling of the original.
Which is great when you have media that has an ending that feels okay. You could be a fan and be like, I stopped there.
I thought the ending was great.
Like-
I thought the ending of Scrubs originally was great.
For example, like Sword Art Online, I could always watch the first season and stop
Oh
after
my
that and be
gosh.
super
Yeah, I
happy.
started
don't
on
know.
season 2. I was like, no.
The halfway through season 1, they were just like, let's just destroy every important, like every character connection or anything that can make
I hate when they do that.
make you involved in the show and want to watch more. Like, we're just gonna take it away.
I mean, a good show technically a good show makes you build a connection with the characters and then rips them
Yeah,
away
but
from you.
but like it didn't rip them away. It kept them. Dude,
Makes-
after literally like episode 8 or something in the original or some halfway through point, I was like, wow, they just like. This was so good for a quarter of the show, and then they just like made it the most stupid thing ever.
That's fair. Questions? You guys see a question on here that we have that you want to answer or ask one of us?
If you had to eat only one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be? Now I have to like.
K-pop.
I have to see because
That's
you
got
could say
versatility.
you could say K-pot, and that has versatility, but I don't know if that's counted as one meal. That's what I was about to say. You could make it like
One food?
but not one food because it says one meal.
The same
but you
thing
can't. But
every
you
day?
can't say if you say K-pot, it's like okay. So select your bowl of what you want from K-pot. I don't know. I don't think it's okay to answer the question and be like, well, I dip this in this sauce. 'Cause
Okay.
there's so much
I got
variety.
this. I got this. Easy answer. Large 10-piece nugget with a Coke from McDonald's, quarter pounder with cheese, just cheese, add mac sauce, and obviously barbecue and honey mustard for dipping.
That would definitely get.
I
so,
could
No, that would definitely
I could
get
probably
so awful.
because you don't have to eat it 3 times a day and eat the whole meal.
Yeah.
it's just what is one meal that if you had like this is the only thing you can eat for the rest of your life, I could deal with it. I know they like you might say pizza or like whatever, but
All right.
like this got a wide variety of it's got most of your nutrients. We're good.
Now you're saying that. So
Oh, and a Red Bull.
So
I take Wagyu,
are we assuming?
Wagyu and lobster.
So Wagyu and lobster. So he's
He'll
going
die of
fancy.
cholesterol in
I
like
know.
3 days.
Yeah, that's okay.
Um,
I don't want to eat it for my life for the last 3 days, and I'll be like,
it's a hard one.
Lobster rolls would be a good option if I'm trying to die quick.
Because like
Yeah.
that's if I got like the perfect.
well, yeah. I'm sorry. Your order is so healthy and feeds to longevity.
Listen. In high school, that's how I lost weight. Is just eating that every day.
That was not the only thing that was going. into that
Supersize me is
equation.
propaganda and a conspiracy theory.
Morgan Spurlock, but we don't admit defeat.
Pay me McDonald's. I can't think of an answer for this one properly, but because it's really hard because like there's a lot of things I like, and like I feel like I would want some sort of meal that has both meat and vegetables. So like I would have to say like a nice steak, not like something super fancy, just like a nice steak with like good vegetable, like for example like asparagus on the side with potato, and then also mushrooms and onions, and that would be good for the rest of my life.
You know, alternatively, which I probably like,
I'd take that.
less decadent, but like I could probably eat it for the rest of my life, is just a bowl of Cheerios.
Okay. See, if I had to do a bad food
with 2% milk.
If I do bad, it would be number 6, the spicy chicken sandwich from Wendy's. If it was made perfectly every time, yeah, I would do that. That'd be like yeah.
Because like even when I go food shopping, I always make sure
never
that I
eat
have
anything
just
else.
like plain Cheerios in the pantry, just because like whether it's 8 in the morning, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, or like 2 a.m., I'll have a bowl of Cheerios.
Well, I mean, I just do pickles at 1 o'clock in the morning. So I have like 4 different types of pickles in the fridge. I love pickles. So back to this. So there is about 15 minutes left on the stream because Mike does have to leave in a little bit. So any last questions before we start just continuing our conversations? Make sure you ask them in the comments.
Sorry.
You're fine. You're good.
What's the most ridiculous thing you've ever bought online? Because we said we were going to get to this one.
So yeah. Most ridiculous thing you ever bought online.
$12,000 of chaotic cards years after it went out of production.
Yeah, I
You
remember
spent
you did.
$12,000 on chaotic.
Like probably close to like 1,200. Sorry,
1,200. Okay.
Not 12.
In like
I mean-
one lot, not like over like a couple months.
Like over the course of like 4 weeks.
Okay.
So you-
like a single manic event.
Yeah, it was pretty manic, and I was like, "This will come back." It didn't come back. I also was just like, "Oh man, I want these cards so bad."
I remember this.
Yeah, I know. I had them all stacked in my room, like, because I was organizing them. I was like, trash, 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 and I had too many, just too many.
I remember it. Remember that time I was sitting in your room, speaking of, and that bar thing almost killed me?
I had a bar tap of like
Blue
from
Moon.
Applebee's of like Blue Moon almond, and it was on top of my dresser. And Mikey's sitting back, leaning against my dresser, and it falls down, and we hear crack, and it lands like an inch away from his head, if that. And it was literally like up the bar tap. You would pull it. On the top was like the Blue Moon logo and
It screwed
several like wooden almonds that would have just like brained him if they landed directly on the center.
And I remember just sitting back and it like.
He literally sitting there going.
I've avoided death many times.
It was yeah.
I'm curious what you've bought that's the most ridiculous
No,
thing.
you talk first.
Because you get
You
so
talk-
many
you talk
Amazon
first.
packages,
You talk
and I
first.
have never seen you have
You-
like
you
a
talk
new
first.
Back to
thing.
the chat.
What? You talk first.
You want me to talk first?
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah. Most ridiculous thing. That's tougher.
What are you thinking?
I mean, probably one of the more ridiculous things is the like candy I order online. Cause like there's been multiple times that I've ordered like commercial levels amount of candy, and like anytime I talk about it, people get very concerned. Like one time during COVID, I ordered like 10 pounds of Jelly Belly jelly beans. But then another time I went on Amazon and
Gummy bear.
I ordered 25-pound gummy bears and just gave them out to people for gifts.
But
But those are like small potatoes.
chocolate, when you want it, chocolate. So instead of buying it from Wawa, you bought it online.
Oh yeah, instead of door dashing from 7-Eleven one candy bar, I Amazoned a 36-pack that I have not eaten.
Like,
Yeah.
that's manic. That's a manic.
So-
Like that's not like one of the weirdest things. I'm trying to remember. Mikey, go.
Bugs?
just-
But bugs online.
Like crickets
No, like cockroaches.
Why?
for your lizards.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's not.
That's weird.
That's just pet food.
That's weird.
I don't know. I
It's
feel like you
hard.
got something better. I see all the Amazon packages coming into
I
it.
feel like
That-
more people have ordered crickets online than chaotic cards. So I feel like mine wins out.
I'm trying to figure out. You're probably right, honestly. I'm trying to figure out what maybe I ordered a lizard online. Does that count?
I can't
Came in
believe
the
that
mail.
that's like the most ridiculous thing.
I don't buy. I mean, computer stuff. What do I buy besides like?
I don't know what's in all the Amazon packages, Mikey. Every time we come over, there's 4 by the door.
Maybe-
we've never seen Mikey
some-
gain another possession.
So maybe maybe.
I don't know what he's buying.
This man's stuff, his equity stays the same level.
I don't know honestly.
I feel like he buys new things and throws out the old
Yeah,
one,
well,
so we like no one
yeah.
notices.
I honestly don't have an answer to that question. To be honest, I know that I bought something weird.
I mean, like my total amount spent on Magic online is definitely ridiculous,
Yeah,
but that's.
I thought I had one.
I bet you're not even in the top 100. Like,
No, I'm
spenders.
definitely not like the whaliest of whale,
Yeah.
but like I've been in the.
I mean-
I believe like
So-
I just spent like $20,000 on Magic
So
cards.
the-
It's excessive. It's ridiculous.
Closest thing I could think of was there was a girl I was talking to online, and we were like video chat and stuff, and she like bought me dinner one night. And I bought her dinner, and I thought I was buying her like Brazilian barbecue, but it just showed up as a whole box of just cubed meat. And she's like, she got mad. She's like, you sent me cubed meat. And I'm like, it said Brazilian barbecue
Dude,
rotisserie.
imagine getting mad about cubed meat.
And she's like, there was no rice or anything. It was just meat. I'm like, it showed the picture. So the weirdest thing I ever sent somebody was a box of cubed
a
meat.
box
Yeah,
of raw
that's
cubed
pretty
meat.
good.
No, it's
That's a pretty
cooked.
good
Oh,
one.
okay, all right.
But it wasn't good. So she was mad at me for that. I wasn't allowed to order anything ever again. That's okay. I didn't last too long. So one of the comments I also enjoy said, this is going to be from Mike and me. How did you feel about the final season of Battlestar Galactica? So it says,
Are we being honest?
I mean, right? Yeah. Here we go. Let's see. One of the comments said, do a certain thing. Speaking of, what about Battlestar Galactica? Disappointing seasons. Final season of Battlestar Galactica. It was weird. First thing will address is obviously Joe was upset by the final season. The only thing I think that upset Joe was the fact that God existed in Battlestar Galactica, and
Well, yeah, because
that was the answer.
that was and
Which
I
was-
never understood that because like it was portrayed as like a religious story from the beginning.
Sorry,
Like,
Brents.
this was literally like the exile
Listen.
of the people. Like,
And some people try to look past that because of personal beliefs, you know.
sure, but like that's what the story is.
And that was like, I feel like that, like I could feel like when he was, I love Joe, but like I could feel him next to me.
He was
seething.
so mad.
He was seething.
Yeah,
like
no.
nobody was ever
He's
as mad.
still mad about it, by the way.
Yeah.
He'll bring it up.
He'll bring it
And
up, yeah.
It's wild. He that was hatred he had for that.
He loved it. He was really enjoying that show up until that moment. And then when the character he hated the most turned out to be an angel, he was like, "What the fuck?" No, like we're, not this. We should not to talk about that stuff any much. Sorry if anybody who's never watched that.
I troll
Don't get
him
mad
now.
about that,
When we're talking about movies, he'll be like, "Yeah, dude." He's like, just on reflection, it's not that good. I'm like, "Yeah, dude. The character just
I thought it was good.
God."
I thought it was good. There was obviously some things that they felt like because as they wrote it as they went, it felt like they pulled some things
See,
out.
look, Supersize Me Indeed propaganda. Sorry.
Yeah. You're
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah,
Okay. He just doesn't admit defeat.
yeah. That's what I said that before.
I know. I'm just commenting back on your. I'm doing a callback. But I mean, the biggest thing for that. I mean, I enjoyed the show. I enjoyed the ending. I thought it was nice. A lot of it was cool. The reveals were cool. As Beef said before, a bad show can be elevated by a good ending, just like a good show could be brought down by a bad ending.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought the ending was appropriate. It wasn't anything like amazing. That show had, and I think part of that is because the show had like 2 or 3 really good season finales, so it's hard to follow up on like amazing season finales. But like they left us in like the only way things could have went, honestly, and without saying spoilers,
My only thing with Battlestar, because like I really liked the story. I really enjoyed the characters. I was very confused, and like this is genuine confusion. I don't understand how it's like in the same like level as like Star Trek and Star Wars, and I feel like that's because maybe it's just the one that we watched or something, but I feel like there's not as much content of like the world and like all of it, because we kind of just get like the one part of the timeline, which is like the destruction of
stuff,
the Cobol and all that stuff, like those people's planets, and we get the destruction of like
colonies.
and we're just seeing kind of like the Noah's Ark.
Yeah.
And all of the adversity to it. So like I feel like it's very limited scope that we get, and it was confusing for me because like growing up I'd heard like Star Wars, Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica are like the big 3, and I just didn't see it, and I was confused about that.
I think the reason why is because those first two you mentioned, Star Wars, Star Trek, have grandiose heroes. Major,
I think that is it.
Major heroes. So you go watching these first 2 shows and movies, you're kind of like, okay, there's a giant hero, there's an obvious evil we're fighting, this and that, this and that. Battlestar Galactica was more about the fact that there's, a set population number left that's trying to survive, and it's the human condition surviving, how people interact. Everyone, the one character that could be a hero in one episode is, has a different thought process in the next episode than a character you like, and then it makes them a villain, and it's how it portrays them. And then in the end, not anybody's wrong and not everybody's right, and then tough decisions have to be made. I'm not going to spoil things, but like, the leader of the people, campaigned for one thought process, and then as a result of the dwindling population, they have to go the opposite way completely. And it's the tough decisions people had to make during these moments. So it's less about Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, Picard.
It's not the hero's journey,
but it's about the people surviving, because you could kill off any of the characters in the show and replace them with someone, and it's still the same functioning show. But if you do that in Star Wars, Star Trek, it doesn't work that way. But that's because the reality is, when you're watching Battlestar, if you kill off, the fleet admiral, well, the story is going to now be about how the next person adapts to being fleet admiral, and if they do a bad job or not. And in that show, if the person does a bad job, it's going to show how people react to the bad job, which is going to be revolution, and they'll riot and rebel and kill a mutiny, basically. So that's the big difference. And then it also sprinkles in the culture, because Star Wars and Star Trek have multi-cultures across this, but these all have like a unified culture. So it's showing how the culture impacts people who are trying to survive on the brink.
It's a different story, and I think that's what really like made it harder to like process for me in terms of like it being viewed that highly, just because like Star Wars, it's your typical hero's journey across this vast universe. Star Trek has such like a large catalog of episodes and like different things they touch on that you kind of get like the whole breadth of everything. Whereas like my exposure to Battlestar Galactica was this is like the remake. So like maybe
the first season, I looked it up after, it's different. It's like aliens and stuff.
In the original? Yeah, that's what I'm missing, is like maybe I have to watch the original. Maybe it's like I'm watching the prequels to Star Wars right now, or the sequel, and that's why I have that view.
It's like it's a different story. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think it's I think I need to watch the source content.
And then part of it also going into that stuff is like, to compare The Expanse to it without spoiling things. The Expanse is still following grandiose heroes that are made from everyday people and their actions, whereas it makes you feel like, for the most part, they're infallible, but a lot of the characters in Battlestar Galactica make terrible decisions, and you see the results.
Baltar did nothing wrong. You shut your mouth.
I'm not talking about him. But it was a fun series. It was definitely one of those ones. Now, that being said, let's see if there's any other ones to quick answer. And you guys can ask us questions as we wrap this up. It's been a fun hour so far. It really flew by.
Favorite and least favorite franchise?
So my favorite franchise. So something I could watch a bajillion times. Like in terms of franchises, I'll consider it's obviously just going to be Star Wars, because it founded me as a child. If it wasn't Star Wars, it'd be either Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter. Very generic, but that's the '90s babies to like now growing up for you. Grew up with Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones and other stuff. I watched other movies, obviously, and that's what it is.
I think the Fate franchise sometimes does really good things, and also it's sometimes my favorite and sometimes my least favorite, because sometimes it's really stupid and sometimes it's really cool.
You like Fate? It's Fate was the original anime that had like the best animation. Like it was like back in like the early 2000s or late 2000s, you'd watch Fate and be like, this animation's crap.
Yeah.
And back when like you'd be watching Naruto and One Piece, you'd be like, what the hell? Why can't Naruto and One Piece have that? And then it became stock standard animation, which is a good thing. What about you, Mike? Favorite franchise? Has been?
In terms of like TV, I mean, I'm gonna go with you with Star Wars. It's
really?
It's iconic. I love Star Wars.
I've
always loved Star Wars. My parents have always gotten me a Star Wars Lego every Christmas, because I love it.
And you open them.
And I built them.
Yeah, you open them.
I have all of them.
What a loser.
Listen,
you want to resell them? You want to enjoy them?
You guys didn't say least favorite franchise though. I'll say my least favorite franchise. Marvel.
Marvel?
No, mine is both. Fate is
okay.
favorite for different reasons.
Are you going to be the quintessential Star Wars fan and say it's also your least favorite?
No,
franchise?
I can't say I hate Star Wars. I love everything about Star Wars except for the last 3 movies, because they went in a different direction than I would have liked.
It was about the prequels.
Yeah, no, I love the prequels, but there's a whole different discussion about that we can get into for hours. I'm done with Eddie. My least favorite franchise. So Marvel would probably be one of the ones that.
But I will say
was
Iron
younger.
Man's one of my top movies.
But I like
OG
Marvel.
Iron Man?
Like
Yeah.
Fire movie.
a well done Marvel movie is so much fun. That's the problem. Like you could hate it, but like the actors are so charismatic and it's so fun sometimes to have a good one. A bad Marvel movie is a bad movie, but a good
Yeah.
Marvel movie is a great movie. So it's hard to say that. It's the same thing with DC. I can't say I hate the Fast and Furious because I love how ridiculous it gets in the end. That's one of those movie franchises that I'm like, I don't really care about cars, and then by like the 9th movie, I'm like, I love cars. And like the people like cars don't do that. I'm like, I don't care. I love these cars.
Where you going?
Oh, okay.
C'est la vie.
Bye, Beef.
I mean,
Alright.
off screen, like not TV and movies. I'd say my favorite and least favorite franchise is the same. It's Wizards of the Coast.
Wizards of the Coast. So
Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering. Keep milking it, baby.
I
Shout
will
out.
say that one of my favorite things to hate, franchise-wise, was also probably like Marvel a bit because it's so fun to like. Because I love superhero
Individual
stuff.
movies are amazing.
I love superhero
I hate
stuff.
the franchise.
I love superheroes. I love all that stuff. I really like, even though I haven't seen a bunch of movies, I really enjoy any type of content that's just fun in general.
Mm-hmm.
So like I love that. I would say if I had to hate something, it was probably the generic my age answer of Twilight as a male, like growing up during the Twilight era.
I actually really enjoyed
But-
reading Twilight. I do not think they are like literary masterpieces,
hard 'cause
but I read all 4 books in like a week, and I thought they were very enjoyable.
I'm so easy to please. Franchises.
The movies, not so much.
I don't know. I'm so easy. Like I can enjoy anything, so it's hard for me to hate a franchise because I love everything, including bad stuff. So like, if I had to say something, just to say something, it's hard because I can't even think of something I dislike. Like there's nothing I watched that I'm like that sucked. I'm not gonna watch that again. I find enjoyment in a lot of things, even if it's like so stupid.
Yeah.
So it's really hard for me to think of stuff. Like it's also a lot of times it's hard for me to talk about stuff negatively because I enjoy stuff.
I know. We've watched some pretty terrible media, and you're like, but
It
I'm
was
like,
fun.
shut up, Mikey.
I could talk for
it's
20
terrible.
minutes about like that. No, I don't got one for least favorite franchise. If that's a cop out a little bit, but yeah,
Hey, listen, you're just not a hater.
I'm not. I mean, even
That's why you have me here.
Yeah. All right, we lost someone.
Yeah. No,
Alright.
I guess he's
He's dead now.
Yeah, no.
All right, guys.
He's with Joe now.
There's no two between two mics. So let's see what's going on in terms of the comments. Let them know if Yankee fans. We watched Farscape. We haven't watched Farscape actually.
No.
RRR, speaking of comments, is a movie I have been asking to watch because I want to branch into Bollywood because there's nothing I feel like Mike would like more than Bollywood because it's got music,
I've seen clips
It's got-
of Bollywood things, and I would absolutely have a great time.
music, dancing, epic hero,
The most ridiculous
ridiculous.
moves I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's so
There was
ridiculous.
one scene, I don't know what movie it's from, but the dude like catapulted himself along with like 8 dudes, all with like wrapped in shields, and they like bashed into the enemy army and like popped up with no damage. Started doing wild stuff, and I was like, "This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen." I watched it like 3 times on TikTok. I was like,
It's so
"Yeah,
good.
this
I
is
think we
great."
should watch that. The only problem there is it's so long, but I think one thing you'd like also is that I'm pretty sure Bollywood and Indian movies have built-in half moments, so like half basically like little intermissions. So like they're like halfway through the movie they're like get up and go to snacks. So you'd be like, all right, I'm going to get a snack, and it's important because sometimes movies go on so long you need to get up and
Yeah,
yeah,
because you
go to
just
bathroom.
like there's a
Yeah.
slow part, and you're
So
just,
we are
like,
interested in those.
disassociated.
The Bollywood is a lot of fun, and Bollywood has a lot of interest from India. So Indian fans would be fun to pick up, especially because I know a lot of enthusiasm is
Chuck
right there.
Norris movie Invasion USA. Well, I know I'm googling when I go home.
Chuck. I would love to watch
It's got to
that.
be silly.
I would love. I believe you have to get going though. I don't know how long
Yes.
he's gonna take. So
I think it's.
I think we're good. He's okay. It's okay. It was fun. It was a lot of fun for the first podcast. Interaction was fun in the chat. We thank you guys, and obviously we'll be seeing you more in the comments. Next time.
Thank you for validating me.
Yeah, validating Mike and his opinions. Nothing better than Mike being valid. Just don't tell his wife. Hopefully you learn a little bit more about us through this one. These are fun to do. as far as right now, plan to maybe do once a month, maybe nothing more than that though, because it is, when you're newer to this stuff, it's hard to like figure out what you want to do for a podcast. You could just sit here and talk for hours.
We got plenty.
We have plenty of stuff to do, especially when fans leave comments. So that always helps. One thing we also want to do is play some games on stream because, I mean, nothing would be more fun than, dying together.
Please make fun of Mikey's play.
Perfect. What do we mean? Yes. Really appreciate everyone for coming here. This was fun. Helps you get a little bit more personal feel for us too, because, you may see us react, but this is honestly no filters for most of us. And yeah, this will be great to have next time. We'll be signing off. I'm Mikey.
I'm Mike.
I'm Beef. And thanks for joining us. See you next time. Bye.